But anyways, I just happened to see that the very first re-recorded deed, every single one of the historic deeds in our family were recorded by Doreen Smith Poole. When I found out that there was a court order to not only destroy all historic filings, but give people the leeway to re-record them, what would ever constitute doing that? Unless the attorney, Doreen Smith Poole, were found to be, negligent or a spy or, evil. 431st Street. I don't even know what this is. What is the date? 1986. Oh my God. That's when Arthur Shapiro, there's a lot of stuff that happens. Okay, 81 is when this kicks off for the first time, really, since 68. There are tons of little entities relating to the coal that kind of come back to life and sprinkle between 76 and 77. That's why everything relating to 77, you guys, if you don't get what 77 is, it's coal. 77 is coal. So Nationwide 77, that partnership is specific to coal. Nationwide 1 is specific to the insurance side. Oh my God, I don't know why it's so hard. John Nicodemo was a friend of my dad's. He did not record deeds for my family. It's just ridiculous. But let's play along. Let's play along. And that's what I was like, Mom, you have all these mortgages, and they never have mortgages. But by the way, my dad didn't own any mineral rights. And when I presented him with some of these documents, he had never seen any of them. Look at this. And this is so important. In the midst of my father passing, my mom asked me to look into this. And I started printing the documents, which was genius, because I wasn't prepared to have these documents be changing in real time, backdated. See how there's no timestamp here? It's midnight. Yeah, so when everything was digitized, just so you know, everybody, in Stark County, everything had a timestamp. So anything that's missing the timestamp and shows, noon or midnight, whatever that is, in Stark County means it's backdated. Anything in Franklin County, it'll be 0000. Got that? So the minute we see that it's backdated, you kind of have to go, There should never be any oil or gas related document presented in a courtroom without the consul to see who was recording it, what the actual legal date was, and how it is 2025, and our counties have software that allow you to upload stuff that is complete and utter BS. No notary stamps, wrong counties. There's these kind of checks and balances that we can easily build in to save everybody a lot of time and headaches. And maybe our country, for God's sakes. Okay, MB operating. MB, I found out it's Mary Brinkman. Margaret Brinkman. That's what the MB stands for. It was last under her name. The whole mineral rights estate. The family's mineral, whatever. Here we go. They add Jack Ruyan. That's important because that's not anyone we know. Jack Ruyan. I'm being dead fucking serious, though. We have acres unitized, right? 23 divided by Jack, Lenny, and Margaret. This is important. They added Jack simply so Jack and Schumacher could, bunt Margaret and Lenny out. And this entire plot here, this 1/8, so the 1/8, that's so important. I'm so glad it's here. 1/8. On the other side, it was 1/4, I think, was what it was last. The 1/8, and then it was 1/7. That's actually what Jeffrey Epstein's little trust, you'll see that there's one trust left that has 7 entities. It's this one. But anyways, 1/8 royalty of all of it. Got it? 1/8. And it's the Elms. Awesome. So it's the Elms, and this Shoemaker guy has no right to be here. But do you see how all of a sudden Schumacher went from like 20 something acres to now 46.16 and becomes the majority owner? Backdated without a timestamp. Awesome. Again, my father said he'd never seen this. Okay, JR Nominee Corp. That's the John Ruyan nominated corporation selected to defraud the United States and liquidate as much as you possibly could before 9/11. Yep. Now, Blaze Smith. I mean, what the F? It's all illegal, but we have to kind of go along because obviously it trusted some stuff. Pauline. I just want to see, Jeffrey Epstein's mommy's name is Pauline. John Banker. You can never go by the names because they're all just basically entities. At the start of the year, especially when, and I know people are going to say she doesn't have this handy to substantiate. I have so much handy to substantiate. But a group of men that had long been a part of the plot, at least the family names had been, it was like a trifecta. You have Taft coming into office as the governor of Ohio. You have George Bush running against Kerry. So it wouldn't have mattered who won. It's so secret we can't talk about it. That's like the skull and bones, right? But what they set Epstein and whomever. So we can say Epstein. We should just call him, what should we call him? I'm going to come up with a really good name. It's the guy who's going to be the guy. He's going to be the guy. So the Lincoln Murray is the guy. Lincoln Murray Lincoln from the 60s. He was Epstein. And then Madoff. And then Epstein. Okay. It doesn't matter that Epstein's gone. But this is Lenny J. Stonerian, being first duly sworn, deposes and says that she is the owner or part owner of the following. 1979. BS. Belden and Blake. Okay. This is, I can't believe, see, going back through these now, it's kind of like a time warp because now everything is so obvious to me. This is basically how they did this. They as in version 1 and version 2. Do you see this? Like bananas. We're going to do one version here and then one version for you. One version for you, one version for you. Thank you. Okay. Mortgage release. I mean, there's so many mortgage release. They didn't have mortgages. People's Eric Smith. Ew. Okay, my grandpa died on 7/7. Yeah, July 7th, and they changed his death date to July 12th, of the same year, I think, 1981. They changed my grandmother's death date to the same day, just a year later, so 1995. And she is 9/8. And then the Queen dies on 9/9. You'll see. But, this is so crazy. This is like cray-cray right here. So the commission expires in 1995, September 27th. And this is recorded and filed in January. So even back in 1995, the notary public would have been a 5-year expiration date. So that alone is like, hey, that's a little odd, like, a little odd. Okay, so these are the ones that are really odd, and this is what the most important part of all of this is. The Farm Bureau of Ohio, the Ohio Farm Bureau, even if I had nothing to do with the family or this state, I would still be as invested and as passionate about this case as I am today. We do not F around with our agriculture, and we do not F around with back-end integrations with China. We just don't. We don't. And they exist today. They exist today at CCH, and I will get the whole list. And trust me, I have done the work. But we don't integrate with them. But when something happens that is clearly showing a security risk, a homeland security risk on my country and my family and my friends and my country, I'm going to look into it. This border here, I'm the one who caught it. Not surprising, but it exists on a variety of different documents filed by a variety of different attorneys, mortgages, companies, deeds. It's consistent across numerous counties, across numerous kind of chains of conveyance, right? Yep. And what does this border, what do they all have in common? A massive amount of property that is being siphoned, as well as securities, ahead of 9/11. And let's just, farmers, for instance. Farmers trademark transfers on 9/12 upon death. That's what I'm being dead serious. Transfers upon death to Farmers Ethanol, aka Harrison Ethanol, aka Jefferson Chemical. But so on 9/12 of 01, the farmers trademark transfers to Farmers Ethanol, who states their first U.S. milestone as terrorists attack the United States of America. So, chew on that. And then also chew on the fact that this border was used to set up all of the pre-9/11 open-ended loans. They call them energy farms. So in the 20s, when it was Sam Bush and, Joe Kennedy and all those guys, it was called the Mills Partition Company. Isn't that fun? The Mills and the Wells. It was called the Mills-Wells Partition Company. Keep the farm, we'll take the wells. Get it? Because mineral rights are kind of tricky. You kind of don't see them. It's not like you see a bunch of coal, like hanging out all the time. Or gas on your property. You don't even know what's there. But anyways, the Farm Bureau used to take care of this, and now the Farm Bureau is owned by Amoco. That's BP. Yeah. Okay, anyways, the border here is what really kind of made it happen. It was used to amend illegally and covertly and sinister, the most sinister way possible. When you're screwing around with the Farm Bureau, you're screwing around with Nationwide and insurance companies. Yeah, anyways. Okay, so this document here is Lenny Ruyan granting to John Ruyan all power of attorney over all of her estate as if he was the trustee. It's a joke. It's almost comical, laughable. But what also, it's just laughable. But again, when you work in big data and you want to get to the bottom of this stuff quickly, then what do? I call up my cronies and I say, can we build a script to search for this across at least County Fusion, which is Tyler Technologies and, AKA, Altair, AKA William Lager, AKA Econ. Yeah, you guys, it's all connected. But can we search for this script? Can we just search for this script? I'm confident whoever added this border either did it on, it's not on accident. I think it was just to help them keep track. And they also start using Windows code. And so this is supposedly recorded in 95, right? With ORC as of 2003. What? I don't know. And then it's this backdated, it's a Windows files path. And you're like, Windows. Okay, so let me just back this up. Just so, because I hate court. All right, in 1995, October to be exact, Windows did not exist. Well, it did kind of in beta for super special people, but it wouldn't have been like added to documents. Okay. And then, of course, there's no expiration date. They figured out it was just easier to kind of throw that in. And I don't even know if that's even legal. But yeah. Okay, let's keep going. Survivor deed. And by the way, my mom, when she hands over kind of the trustee rights, she does so to King Charles. Just so you know. And Janine. When my stepmother had a boat registered in her name, it was under Janet Ledine Ruyan. That's why I think it's funny whenever it's Janine. Okay. Okay, so then we're going to skip down here. The transfer on death deed. And this is kind of when I called up, Huntington, which, by the way, is a Skull and Crossbones member. And I said, my mom had a trust and it was pretty much self-sustainable. And you're like, how would it be self-sustainable? Well, there's a lot of oil and gas and coal. So if you ever run out of money, you just tap into it, Mm-hmm. And so what the hell? They said that everything consolidated upon her death and transferred to M. Ruyan. And then I gave him my soch. There's the border. See this? Great example. This is People's Federal, right? Unrelated to Sandra Watkins Cleaver. This is the same county. You get it. But that should not have the same exact border scanned in. And again, you might say, oh, that's Stark County's border. Oh, that's Stark County's border. And by the way, David Anderson, I meant to call him out on something earlier. But you might say that's Stark County. No. See, that's why. No. Once my brain starts detecting these anomalies, it doesn't stop. And so George Urban, who the fuck is George Urban? Janice Leggert. So the commission would not be legal here. This is recorded in 2005 and it, expires in less than 2 years. It's ridiculous. Wait, when was this filed? 9/14. 9/11 comes up again and again and again, year over year. And they are obsessed with 811. I don't know what the 9/11, I know it's like, 911. And Stauffer Mortgage, German, they were always a part of it, dating all the way back. And Mike Stauffer, he's a piece of work. Piece of work. Complete asshole. Just complete asshole. All these little banks, whenever you're dealing with some of these folks that, their number one goal is to basically defraud the United States and take over United States liberties. And by the way, they conspired to coordinate 9/11. Muslim my ass. 111. Okay. See, at least this is legal because it's a 5-year, You got it. Wait, this was just recorded. I literally just, when I clicked through, saw the date and it showed it was recorded in 2013. I don't know what that means. Lori Whitehead. So there are 4 $956,000 loans. There are actually 4 separate that are recorded, and they're recorded in each of these people's names. My father's, his, I guess, widow, Robin, her partner, and then her partner's husband. But these are all on the mineral rights. Like, if you think these people can get $4.9 million in loans on their teaching salaries, no. They're taking out, it's a draw. It's not even, this is what this whole plot kind of is and why it is so sinister. And by the way, Jan, she signs a quitclaim. And I mean, this is a joke. I mean, it's almost so much of a joke that I can't believe it happened, but it's continuing to happen. Watch this. Let's see. Bennett, regardless of my stepmom's partner, there it is, right there, Virgo. Holy shit, I can't believe this stuff just pops up. Here it is. Patty Jo Bennett. I cannot believe that this just popped. So, this is it. James Fargo. Oh my God. So, this is the main deed that they re-recorded all of my parents' historical deeds to just transfer mineral rights with their historical sales, even though they didn't actually sell them. I cannot believe this came up as Virgo. Gregory Russell and the Russell Trust. The Russell Trust is anybody who can make it through the Skull and Crossbones and, get through their rituals. You get a trust, and it's called the Russell Trust. David Bennett. Oh, no. Wilgus. So Wilgus is Wilton. Gus is basically G, and then U.S. German U.S. These DHoff, this is a joke. I mean, it's backdated and it's fake. And then you basically call the county and you're like, so there's a really strange case with this really strange notary, judge entry. I'm not sure what that means. And by the way, this starts to get a little fishy here. Guess what they say? Hire an attorney. We can't help you. And I'm like, well, maybe you could tell me who recorded this and, how this happened. But let's just see what this does. It's almost a joke. Oh, and then all of the liens are always around $1,000 to like $5,000. Pissing. But guess what they're defaulting? Property that's worth trillions of dollars in mineral rights. And you're like, well, why was your family sitting on it? No, you kind of can't farm the land in Ohio and frack it at the same time. You really can't. And if anyone wants to talk to me about chemicals and what goes into any of what they've been doing, please, by all means, let's do it separately. This is the Elms of Maslin. By the way, the Elms of Maslin is the fake entity. What they are doing is they're taking the royal links, mineral rights, and they are forwarding them over this freaking $3,000 lien. It's a joke. So who gets it? Who gets it? I can't believe that I've never seen this document. But this is the document. McDonald and Associates, and that's Gates McDonald, as in William. He gets on board. Joseph Wilgus. I cannot believe that. But that's Joseph Kennedy's entity. David Bennett. I cannot believe that they use Bennett on David here. So David is on the back end under Wiltenberg. Yeah, Wiltonberg. Like Wittenberg, except Wiltenberg. So we got Gladys Kensley, Corvin Miller, Lorena Mill, Standard Oil, Ameritrust. Is that Dick King? Ew. Village of Hartville. There's always going to be entities that are missing here. See that? Village of Hartville? They're added. I can't believe we just saw that. All right, hold on. We got to make sure that this is in order. Are you effing kidding me? This is going to be Anna Louise. See, it always, oh my God, that's crazy. Taking out a loan on the property that we're actually talking about. Backdated, it's fake. And there's never, ever anything that would cause a red flag. Ever. I mean, well, they know that. I mean, they're pretty smart people. They're not that smart sometimes, though. But clearly, when you pay enough people off within our U.S. government so that everyone at the county is, getting a cut, and the president's getting a cut, everybody's getting a cut, it's not that hard to do. All right, Christine is definitely going to be Tina Lafayette. I know it. The accounting in some of these counties, well, and it's all off, and I mean, there's been so much fraud. Ohio is the number one biggest state in terms of corruption, for sure. Thanks to this, Chevron. Anna Louise, I knew it. I knew it. Avco. Bringing it all together. Bringing it all together. See? We're bringing it all together. Looping it in. Okay. Avco. Ever hear of it? Wait until you see. Avco. And then Lone Inc. So glad to see it. So we have Charles Bennett. And then we have Louise. And so this is Margaret Louise right here. And that's Peg. It's like the alias that they use on our freaking court case. Oh my God. It's true. It's absolutely true. Let's just keep going. I mean, on the onset, they transferred all of the federal land patents that had been surveyed by the Stoners and Steiner family to the royal family. And they did it under Princess Diana's death, as a distant cousin claiming unclaimed property that had been left abandoned. That's kind of how they did it, if you will. Oh, well, look at that. Looks like Landmark Inc. just pops up here. That's kind of important. Landmark Inc., formerly known as the Farm Bureau. This is such bullshit. So this is 1983, backdated. Levant. Scherer. Okay, so Scherer and Thomas Scherer, they are all throughout this plot too. George Morrison is a fake entity, as was Murray Lincoln. So this is saying as of 83, I mean, they're hijacking the U.S. Farm Bureau. And why? You're like, why? Is because, again, I cannot believe this. These are evil men. Belton. M.B. Belton. Margaret Brinkman Belton. This is a joke. All of these, if you look at the entity numbers too, many of them are just, it's a one big bulk upload. The longest, or the largest bulk upload that I've ever encountered was over 5,000 documents. So it's just like erasing everything and just re-recording it. Does that make sense? going back and re-recording fake mortgages that never existed. Joking. No, I mean, no. Back. The easements become a big deal because they cause a lot of issues environmentally. Who are these people? This is the Elms. Oh, by the way, so I ended up getting, I can't believe I got it, but these like ultra like sealed reports from the Elms water. And wouldn't you believe it's right after these drilling partnerships on the land, like over there in Lawrence County? Like, oh my goodness, the water is shut down. Oh, Harvard? Jack Harvey? Elizabeth Skipper? What's that? I mean, look at these. These are all, again, they all go back to the same exact date on the same exact, like, time. And then I just always like to see how long the strings of the run of re-recorded files go. By the way, we know an Elizabeth Skipper. I'm not implying that this might be that same Elizabeth Skipper, but in many cases, you know, sometimes they're using names, you know, without people knowing. So it's always good to, you know, hey. Beneficial Mortgage and Beneficial Acceptance Corp, BAC. Oh, this is so disgusting. Let's just see how this ends up. Northwoods, Operation Northwoods. Oh my God. I cannot believe all the CIA stuff. OMG. These people are just awful, evil, evil, evil people. So you see that this is not the Bennett's land. This was Landmark Inc. and the Farm Bureaus, right? So does everybody got that? I just want to make sure that's clear. This has been a complete attack on America. I consider it World War III, kicking off ahead of 9/11 and blaming it on an entire culture of people who had nothing to do with it. Like, really. It's disgusting. It really... Ugh. This is actually the funeral home where my cousin, William Burton Stoner III, was supposed to have been. Supposed to have been. My cousin, Kathy, paid for his service. And then there was a claim. Anyways, he was not actually... he was cremated at Heritage Cremation. It kind of goes hand in hand. So, Pauline. But by the way, I've already done the due diligence. The Washington land patent, which is what is the most important federal land patent to our country, right? So it transfers to Elizabeth Ford, a.k.a., and then the minerals all go under Jeffrey Vargo, a.k.a. Joseph Vargo. But yeah, it's Elizabeth Ford because it was Gerald Ford who was helping set it up. So watch this. Roaring Fork Resources. Always out of Texas, by the way. So again, there's this investigator, when going through his files, he couldn't figure out what connects Texas oil to the Ohio Farm Bureau. And it's the Elms. They even create Elmco. They take over. Oh my gosh, this is so gross. This is like our cemetery broken out by percentage of all of the different land. McKinney Family Farm LLC. I'm going to see Alexander Bennett and then... Wait, this is like 2 days ago. This is very recent, and again, the commission, it's not valid. I mean, this is like, Dofrino Law is also, I gotta look them up. I have not seen their name in a while. They are shade balls as shady can be. Look at the property, sections 3, 4, 10, 11, 12, 16. So they're transferring the mineral rights to all of that. This was definitely one of my dad's loans. Oh, and Brittany Steiner is the name used on his lien as a fake entity. Brittany Bennett, unmarried. Oh, and then she'll get married. Watch. To Steiner. Erica Bennett. I mean, this is this year, everybody. I mean, like, it is still going through and liquidating the final, like, ownership of any mineral rights that would be titled to our country. MB Operating is Mary Brinkman Margaret, who used to basically, it was the Stoner. And I can go through exactly how this, went down. But I'm going to tell you that Jeffrey Epstein changed our trust attorney's name and became our power of attorney. It's so gross. Oh, and then Tom McDaniel, like, approved some things as my mom's power of attorney on some of this stuff. Marcy Ann Morris. Batista and Batista. Notice of commencement. Let's get her done. Okay, so this all really started with Jeffrey Epstein hijacking Landmark Inc. And let me just quickly show you how that kind of went down. And then I am going to be lambasting a few people. I mean, it's disgusting. It's our agriculture. And by the way, they broke so many laws. I mean, 9/11. Ooh. Look, they're like backdating and re-recording this. Tri Landmark is a fake entity, and the fact that this is like Tri Landmark, ew. It's basically just reinstating the plot from the 1960s. There were at least 90 interest holders, with Big Papi being one of them. Look at this. Landmark's like, hey, just, take all of our land, take all of our securities. Here, just take it all. And then with the goal, look at this. And then here comes Robert Warner and Mark Stewart. And it says they're officers of Landmark. Well, no, that's a lie. Mark Stewart, ew. When is this? 88 backdated? Ew. It's Delaware County, recorded in Stark. Ew. Merger, we already know about that. Ew. Ew. I mean, the fact is, this is only one side of it. Texas oil and what they do to the Gulf. Like, it's one horror story after another. One horror story after another. And you're like, how did that happen? And everybody not just shut the plot down. Like, even if you are that greedy and you want to take over the world, you know? Okay, so the amended Articles of Incorporation, it's a different charter number. It'll be a different charter number. OMG. This is absolutely, you can't even read it. We're talking $1 billion corporation. These people are just fucking around with the historical files. Oh, and of course it's John Moore. Thomas Corman. Such bullshit. These people are, I mean, they're the fake entities from the 60s. No doubt about it. How there could ever be a lien against Landmark is a joke. You've seen enough. But this essentially backs in, and if you keep going, will literally back right into 9/11. With the farmer's trademark transferring on 9/12. This has been a covert, like high-end operation against our country that has been going on for multiple decades and will continue until it liquidates really all of our civil liberty and all of our land. That's the end goal. But the biggest shame is that our president and vice president are both interest holders. Significant. Not only that, they set Jeffrey Epstein up with an offshore bank to expedite this in the wake of their little, like, what do they call it? The subprime mortgage. It's disgusting. As somebody who works in, like, high-level fraud, this is Beam. Ew. I've become so ingrained in how the hell this happened. And it couldn't have happened had Dick Cheney and George Bush not been in the office for 8 years, and this is just bullshit. It's just bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Yeah, and here's where they merge. This is backdating a merger to 1970, where the Farm Bureau Cooperative Association merges with Landmark, and I think it's ahead of when they become nationwide. It's a joke. It's a joke. This was one of the top targets of 9/11. Wait until you see the Texas company. You think this is big money? I mean, the coal, 2.9 trillion is what George, 2.9 trillion, which is crazy because that's kind of what they took from the top of the United States equity. Remember when I said it's 2.9 trillion? Mm-hmm. And George Dunlap said, Landmark would never file anything on New Year's Eve. Who would? I mean, like, it's so stupid. Countrymark Incorporated, this one. All right, hold on. These are all fake, and it's just, it makes me really upset. Zinc. It makes me super upset. Some days. $200 million each. Do you see this? On each farm. $200 million per farm. That's what, do you see this? Once you start adding these up, it becomes like so cray. But yeah, 200 million per farm is what all of the interest holders get. Conrad Olson. See? 200 million. Mortgage. Yep. And then that release, and they're like, oh, we defaulted. Sorry. No, I was half kidding, but when now you look back and you're like, oh, this subprime mortgage BS, Countrywide, Countrywide, they go hand in hand. And then BCCI, I mean, all of the entities that were literally, they're set up to systematically defraud Americans and benefit our president. Yeah, it's true. Okay, Country Mark Cooperatives. So the National Bank for Cooperatives, yep, they take over Landmark. So who needs it? Who needs that grain? Who needs that food? My biggest concern is, like I said, it is 2025, and we have had so many ample investigators who have lost their minds trying to basically run this up the ranks only to have nothing happen. Nothing. So I want to remind everybody that I'm an heir to the Washington land patent, and I have the right to do anything within my power from this point forward if this bullshit continues happening. Look at this. This is where they transfer the elms. I've never seen this one. Backdated? Bullshit. And when we say they, this was basically, I mean, George Poppy, like 110% over and over again. Oh, is this Jay Freeland? Oh, and then that border. Don't forget about the border. Have a good night, and I'm sorry if I seem like annoyed. This has been awful for so many people outside of America and inside of our country, and I personally, like so many other Americans, are sick and tired of the rhetoric and the bullshit that our government has continued. This is even a fake. I mean, that's a fake. Look at this. $200 million mortgages ahead of 9/11. Terminate right before my mother's birthday. It's gross. It's the most gross. I mean, or a trust attorney. Ew. I mean, I want nothing. But again, I have to sometimes remind myself that M&M, wait, I just saw it, M&M royalties, Roaring Fork, but maybe it was McMurray. If any of these people actually live in Ohio, shame on you. I don't think they do. I'm gonna blast. I mean, once I get my hands on death certificates, forget about it. Yeah, but I mean, bottom line, this all transferred. People think it's like, oh, it was, legal. No, it wasn't. And this is such bullshit. I cannot believe that they assumed Harry Wilton's identity to start drilling in the Gulf, and then they blow up the Gulf. And then they're like, oh, what do we do? What do we do? Because they're just a bunch of idiots who have no affinity, zero affinity to our country. You're looking at, entities, people that are offshore and have nothing to do with Americans. I'm over it. I'm over it because I've seen it firsthand. I can't stand it. I'm going to look at what this is. I think it's gross. The Maslin feed plant, hold on. They take over every one of the grains and farms and mills. MOA. It's bullshit. This is disgusting. I mean, honestly, I don't want to live in this country if this is like the way that Robert Warner never was the vice president at Landmark. This is a goddamn joke. And they're building a pipeline. Like, we already know it. And again, there's your, like, 9/11. That border. So, see, this is Indiana with a completely different set of entities. And it's the same freaking border. And when you print it out, it's identical. This is crazy. I mean, this is all a joke. Winfield, Warfield, it's Wallace Simpson. This is the Royals, and it was like their like a little attempt to take over America. But the thing is, even though it seems like 9/11 was 25 years ago, well, it was, right? This was set up with a 25-year timeline. So don't let this, just seem like it's everyday fraud. These people systematically set up software, thousands and thousands, millions of records. And more importantly, they killed my family. Numerous members of my family.